That's when we had Jason. Yeah, Jason is buried in Hawaii.
So you were talking about how when you first were coming back over from Hawaii when you first married grandma that you said you had a hard time finding housing due to all of the other soldiers returning home. Would you say there were any other like challenges that you experienced during that time? Like, was it harder?
Yeah, the apartment finding them in Hawaii was hard.
Hmm.
And when we came home, it wasn't. But in Hawaii, yeah, it was hard to find. But the hard part for me, well, I went from making $200 to $300 a week to making $98 a month. And so apartments were 130, not counting you had to buy a car because it was 5 miles to get back to camp to my base. And so you either hiked it at 3 in the morning and got there by 5, or you ran.
Mm.
And so we had to get a car, and that's when I got promoted to PFC just before she came over. And after she got there, they promoted me to uh, an E4,
Hmm.
but like a corporal, or just below a sergeant. And I made over 400. Plus, we got extra money for housing and groceries and stuff. So we got extra money. So I made probably close to 500 a month all total. But our apartment was 130. Then we had a car payment and insurance and that. So we didn't have a lot of money.
Well, I mean, no one really coming back from wherever has much money because even seen throughout history, um, a lot of those like veterans who return from battle, no matter the era, have always been kind of like on the verge of death and collapsing. So I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense throughout history. But leading off of that, what would you say like the main differences that you saw were in Indiana or Chicago before you went to Hawaii and then after you came back from Hawaii?
Uh, Big difference I found when I came home to get married was when I got off the plane, we were called baby killers, murderers. Uh, and I wasn't in Vietnam, but they didn't know that. So we basically, when we would go in home or anything, we went in civilian clothes. Of course, they could tell by our haircuts and stuff,
Hmm.
the way we acted, that we were military. But we were very proud, but the people were not proud of us. So we never were thanked for what we did. Um, Today they do, but took a long time before anybody acknowledged that we even existed. So that's where it was hard for all of us during Vietnam. It was a war nobody wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
Kennedy started it, and then it just continued from there.
Just kind of hit that massive snowball effect. Because
Yeah,
the Vietnam War is definitely one of the most like controversial wars that America has been in its entirety, like in history. Would you say
yeah.
like did you ever have an opinion on the war? And if so, did that like opinion ever change as like the war was fought, or were you just kind of like a bystander to it all, just doing your job the best you could?
When I went in, I had no clue where they were sending me.
Mhm.
So when they sent me home, and then I went to California for like a week, I thought I was sure I was headed for Vietnam.
Mhm.
And then when they said we were going to go and land in Hawaii, that's usually a stopover
A
to go
refueling
to
station.
Vietnam. And I thought that's where I was headed. I had no clue where I was going to be until I got there. But I didn't back down from it. I wasn't nervous about it. It's We were American soldiers. We did what we were told.
Mhm.
If they said you're going to Vietnam, I would have gone on the plane, not happily, but I would have gone on the plane and I'd have gone over and fought. That's what we did. You serving your country. I love this country, and so I get very irritated when people badmouth our military. They don't want to badmouth the military in front of me because I will. There will be a confrontation.
Now,
It's
would you say that you've always felt that way about our Marines? And not our Marines, I apologize. Our veterans, like you always felt as they should never have been
yeah,
disrespected? Or was it something that developed after you came back and had to experience firsthand?
no. I've always felt that way. My great great grandfather
Mhm.
fought in the Civil War, and I have his discharge papers in here.
I've seen
You've
those. I've seen those, yes, I have.
and you've seen my grandfather from World War One.
Mhm.
He helped build the atom bomb, and my grandfather is the one that put the love of country into me.
Mhm.
My dad too, because he was a police officer, but there was something wrong with him to where they wouldn't accept him.
So
And
it kind of sounds like your entire family, at least everybody from you and up, was very patriotic and all wanted to be will serve the country in some sort.
yeah,
Did you feel as if when you got the draft card that was sort of a calling from them, or was it just something that you had to just tough up and accept of it?
you have to accept it.
Hmm.
We were on a draft every year. They drafted so many people, and the year they drafted me, there was a lottery. They drew your birthday. I was like number 14.
I think.
So I knew I was going in the military,
Mhm.
and there was just no doubt in my mind. And January or there in December, I got my notice, and I had to be there on the 20th of January. I reported, but I wasn't going to back down from it because you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
You either go or you spend time in jail. Jail doesn't suit me.
that makes a lot of sense.
I'm very proud that I served.
Would you say, because I mean, if you're very proud that you served, you've obviously carried that throughout your entire life. You know, I know that is definitely one of your biggest like not brags, but accomplishments you have in this life is serving your country. Would you say that like you developed any like daily practices in the army that you still carry out so many years later in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I guess so. Um,
What would
I don't,
you
I don't know how to describe that part. Is it's just that I have a love for the country, and I mean, if we were attacked today, I'd have no problem if they said we need help. They don't care how old you are. I'd
Mhm.
go, and I'd protect you and Karen and the rest as best I could. But what I learned was discipline. I grew up a lot
Mhm.
while I was there because I was a snot nosed kid that didn't know shit. When I came out, I had more discipline than I had ever had and more respect for people and military. You're serving with all kinds of different nationalities. I had Guamanians, I had Mexicans, I had blacks, Hispanics, uh, Hawaiians, and we all got along. Mhm. But sometimes some of the blacks they get together. Too many of them get in one group. They would get cocky once in a while, but you ignore them.
It kind of.
And the true black friends I had, one was named Leroy Brown, believe it or not.
Mhm.
And there was about 4 or 5 guys come by, was calling me John Wayne and trying to give me some crap. And he stepped out. He was bigger than that black guy I pushed on the golf course that day.
Mm.
He made that guy look like Mickey Mouse. And Brown stood up and he said, "That's my boy. You leave him alone. You treat him with respect." And they never said nothing. They never bothered me again. They came around and they would say hello to me, but they found out you can't just go push every white boy that's around because Brown wouldn't take it. But and I appreciated him. He was one of my favorite people of all time.
All right, and then
Him and Sergeant Hightower, my sergeant.
why would you say Sergeant Hightower was so influential to you?
What? Don't.
Did you hear that, Doug?
I did not know.
Papa became a marksman and he got a marksman's medal in the military, and he still is a very good shot. And so I think that was something he got up.
Yeah, I hunted all my life.
Yeah.
But in the military, I was an expert rifleman. I have that medal that I wore as an expert marksmanship. And then in Hawaii, when driving the Jeep for my first sergeant, they told me when you're driving the big trucks, you had your M16 with you, but you also had to carry a 45. And when you're driving the Jeep, there's basically not a whole lot of room to put
M16,
so we carried 45 pistol.
Yeah.
So I had to qualify with that. I was my platoon's champion pistol shooter. And I actually beat the company. We went down and we shot 5 rounds to sight it in so that you knew where the bullets were hitting, and we moved the sights a little. And then the platoon that was down there, they decided, let's have a little competition here. And Sergeant Hightower was behind me. Of course, I didn't have any money because it was still an E2, it was an E2 then. And he says, I'll pay Jim's. And we shot, and I beat all of them. I had 9 out of 10 in the black at 30 feet. And we went to the company was shooting, and they decided they took the top 10 guys to shoot, and I was my platoon's guy, so we went down, and I outshot them. So it did teach me, you have to learn discipline with a gun and how to handle one properly. You had to tear them apart and put them back together, and you only had a certain length of time to do it. So that's what we learned. Tear M16 apart, lay it out. We tell them, done. Drill sergeant, done. And they'd walk over, look at, put it back together. And boy, you start putting it back together, and we slam it down and tell them done again. And they'd come over and check it all, make sure you had it right. And if you didn't, there was hell to pay. Plus cleaning them. They would come up there and check them with white cloths. And if they came out with any kind of a powder residue on or anything, you caught hell and you had to do it again. And I never had to do it a second time.
Well, would you say because you were talking about how you hunted your entire life. I know that over your time you had to obviously clean guns so they wouldn't jam down and break. Would you say you earlier in life with that experience with guns helped you in the military and helped you get ahead of people in ways like that?
Yep.
Gotcha. And then just one final question before we wrap this up. What is one thing that you would like to tell the younger generation about the military? Like, if you had anything you could tell them.
Respect.
Respect is a necessity because you don't know what they're going through.
The military right now, they have no clue where they're going to go, what they're going to do. Just like right now, they're in Iran. They didn't have a choice. They went down and they told these young men that are over there right now, we're going to Iran. We're going to attack them.
You're coming with.
And they have no say-so in it. And so they go, you have got, and the guys that are in there right now, they want to be there in the military because they joined. They signed up for this. And they knew ahead of time, once you sign up, that's it. It belonged to them. And I have nothing respect for anybody that has been in the military, especially like Jeff, your grandpa Jeff. Yeah, if he'll talk about it. I don't know if he'll talk about Vietnam, but the one thing he told me I will never forget is he was happy that I didn't have to go there because they did things that no human being on earth should have to do. I mean, that's killing people.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse. It'd make you sick to your stomach. I know I always say I could kill somebody with not a problem to protect you or Karen or the family, but believe me, it's going to tear me apart when I do it, if I had to do it. Because taking a life is not fun.
It
I
can
know
be.
that. So ask your grandpa Jeff. He's got more military than I do.
That's who I
And
originally wanted to do this project on, but I did do a switch up from it because I know that like he did suffer from PTSD and I didn't want to overstep my boundaries on that part. So,
you won't be. Just ask him to tell you what he can.
what he's
Wants to.
comfortable with expressing towards me.
Yeah, but just be very respectful. I know you will, but I have nothing but respect for Jeff. Period. He is one of my most favorite people in the world, and I have nothing but total respect for the man, and I'm glad he's my friend.
All right. Well, thank you for sitting here, letting me ask you some of these questions. Just learn a little bit about your time during the army. Learn like what makes my papa my papa. Before I get on out of here, can you just go ahead and state your full name and your date of birth, and then we'll be go ahead and go.
My full name is James Leroy Davis. 2651.
All right. Thank you, Grandpa.